The Guido von List Society was founded in 1908 in Vienna by the Vaniek family, created to fund and promote the work of Guido von List, an occultist and folkish thinker. The society focused on reviving a supposed ancient Germanic religion and heritage through a doctrine called Armanism, named after a mythical caste of Germanic priest-kings who once were responsible for all government and education in ancient society. The group attracted middle and upper class support, including political and occultist figures from Austria and Germany. It played a key role in developing Ariosophy, an esoteric, racialized offshoot of the broader folkish movement. The society believed in a lost, culturally unified Germanic civilization that worshipped Wotan, the chief god of Germanic paganism, arguing that this civilization was interrupted twice, first by the Roman colonization of Pannonia and later by the advent of Christianity. Their worldview emphasized reincarnation, karma, and sun worship, with the belief that the soul would eventually reunite with divinity. They thought that runes held magical power, and that divine forces lived both within individuals and in nature. Their goal was to replace Christianity with a racial faith rooted in ancient Indo-European traditions. The High Armanen Order served as its inner magical circle, conducting secretive meetings and pilgrimages to supposed sacred Armenic sites like the Vienna Stephansdom and the Roman town Carnuntum. List envisioned a future pan-German empire, reborn after an apocalyptic cleansing. This involved the ruthless subjugation of non-Aryans by Aryan masters within a rigidly hierarchical state, where qualification for education or positions in public service would be based solely on racial purity. List predicted this empire would rise after Germany's victory in World War I. The society's activities helped lay the foundation for later folkish-linked esoteric groups like the Reichshammerbund and Germanenorden, indirectly influencing the Nazi Party and SS. Ordo Novi Templi was founded by Austrian racial theorist Adolf Josef Lanz in 1900. It was a proto-fascist secret society aimed at promoting Lanz's racial and esoteric ideology. It combined elements of mystical Christianity and racial science, eugenics, and elitism, initially calling his teachings Theozoology or Aryo-Christianity. Lanz later referred to them as Ariosophy. Modeled after the Catholic Knights Templar, the order viewed Aryans as a superior master race locked in a historical struggle against the so-called inferior races. Lanz interpreted the persecution of the original Templars as a racial betrayal and saw his new order as a continuation of their interrupted mission to establish Aryan dominance. Lanz established the group's base in 1907 at Werfenstein Castle in Upper Austria. Membership was restricted to blonde, blue-eyed men, and a strict racial hierarchy governed the group. Members used code names for secrecy, and the organization operated with paramilitary discipline. He envisioned a society where Aryan elites would dominate, advocating the enslavement of lower peoples and severe punishments like castration for dissent. Women were to be regarded as slaves and breeding mothers. After World War I, Lanz aimed to unite right-wing extremists in Germany against liberalism and communism. From 1908, Karl Maria Willigut, later a close ally to SS head Heinrich Himmler, was in contact with the group. The order would later help the rise of Nazism. The Germanenorden was founded in 1912 by Theodor Fritsch, a leading pre-Hitler anti-Semite. It was a folkish and occult secret society dedicated to Aryan purity and militant anti-Semitism. Its first leader, Hermann Pohl, envisioned the order as a secret counterforce to what he believed was a vast Jewish conspiracy. He modeled it after Freemasonry, creating a hierarchical structure with rituals and 6 lodges. The order was linked to the more public Reichshammerbund, which helped recruit members. Applicants had to prove Germanic ancestry, and the same applied to their spouses if married. The group's core aim was to monitor Jews and distribute anti-Semitic propaganda, while also facilitating business networks among members and promoting folkish publications. Pohl emphasized an Aryan-Germanic religious revival through ritual and occultism, but many members preferred focusing on covert political activism. These internal disputes led to a 1916 split. Eberhard von Brockhusen led the Loyalist faction, while Pohl's faction became the Germanenorden Wallvater of the Holy Grail. Rudolf von Sebottendorf, a mystically inclined adventurer and admirer of Liszt and Lanz, took charge of the Wallvater's Bavarian province in 1917. He expanded its reach, especially through the creation of the Munich Lodge, which was later named the Thule Gesellschaft in 1918 to disguise its ties. The Germanenorden laid key ideological and structural foundations for later Nazi organizations, especially through its transformation into the Thule Society. The Thule Society was founded in 1918 by Rudolf von Sebottendorf in post-World War I Germany, a secretive group that merged extreme nationalism with occult beliefs. It promoted the idea of a lost Aryan civilization originating from the mythical northern land of Thule or Thule. Sebottendorf, a Freemason, Sufi and astrologer, believed Islamic and Germanic mysticism shared common Aryan roots. The society attracted aristocrats, intellectuals and occultists who studied rune magic, racial mysticism and Germanic paganism, but also shared anti-Semitic and anti-communist sentiment. It taught that Aryans had divine origins and a spiritual destiny to rule, aiming to spark a spiritual revolution through racial purity and esoteric knowledge. Sebottendorf attempted to kidnap Bavarian socialist leader Kurt Eisner in 1918. In 1919, during the Bavarian Soviet Republic, Thule members were accused of plotting a coup. 7 were captured and executed after a communist raid. The next day, the Thule launched an uprising to retake Munich. Later, Thule members Anton Drexler and Karl Harrer helped found the German Workers' Party, which would become the Nazi Party. The Thule Society funded the DAP, and several early Nazi figures, including Rudolf Hess, Alfred Rosenberg and Hans Frank, were involved with it. The society also bought the newspaper that became the Nazi Völkischer Beobachter. By 1920, Hitler pushed Karl Harrer out of the party and cut formal ties with Thule. The society declined rapidly and dissolved by the mid-1920s. Organisation Consul, or Schwarze Reichswehr, was a clandestine ultra-nationalist paramilitary group founded in 1920 by former German World War I naval officer Hermann Ehrhardt and his disbanded Freikorps group. It aimed to overthrow the Weimar Republic through assassination and terror. The OC was fiercely anti-Semitic, anti-Marxist and anti-democratic, recruiting only those of German descent while excluding Jews. It conducted high-profile political murders and so-called Feme punishment killings, executing even its own members suspected of betrayal. Operating out of Munich under the protection of police chief Ernst Pöhne, the group funded itself through illegal arms deals with the IRA. The group was responsible for the 1921 assassination of former finance minister Matthias Erzberger and the 1922 assassination of foreign minister Walter Rathenau, targeted for his Jewish identity. Initially tolerated by the Reichswehr and segments of the Weimar government, who hoped to use such groups to circumvent Versailles arms limits, Organisation Consul was banned in 1922. Many of its members, including later Adolf Hitler's bodyguards Julius Schreck and Josef Berchtold, would go on to join the SA and SS, who became central to the Nazi Party's rise to power. During the Nazi regime, the group was absorbed into the SS and glorified as heroes of national resistance. The Edda Society, founded in 1925 by Rudolf John Gorsleben, was a mystical esoteric group deeply rooted in Völkisch ideology and Germanic revivalism. Grosleben, who had ties to the Thule Society and narrowly escaped execution during the 1919 Bavarian Soviet Republic alongside Dietrich Eckart, became heavily involved in the nationalist and occult scene of post-war Bavaria. The Edda Society emerged as a runic brotherhood devoted to exploring ancient Nordic spirituality, combining Aryan esotericism and racial mysticism. Drawing inspiration from Guido von List's Armanism, Grosleben and his circle developed a mystery religion focused on the spiritual power of runes, Germanic mythology, and a belief in the divine mission of the Aryan race. The society published Arische Freiheit, a journal that pushed ideas of racial purity, runic cosmology, and hidden ancestral wisdom. Members viewed runes as living forces capable of unlocking spiritual power. While politically marginal, the Edda Society shaped the mystical and symbolic framework later co-opted by Nazi ideology. It venerated figures like Odin and Wotan as archetypes of racial strength, as well as symbols such as the Black Sun and Yggdrasil as keys to a mythic Aryan worldview. The Lumenclub was founded in Vienna in 1932 by industrialist Johann Waltari Wölfel, a group sharing membership with Lanz's Templar Order. It aimed to counter modern cultural decline by promoting Aryan spirituality, rural living, anti-materialism, and fascist ideals. The Lumenclub was closely tied to Wölfel's vision of international pan-Aryan cooperation between right-wing radical groups of the world. The group hosted racial lectures and became a growth center for the illegal Nazi Party in Austria. Despite supporting Nazi ideology, the Lumenclub, like all other secret societies, was later suppressed by the Gestapo in March 1942, following an earlier party edict banning sects. The German faith movement, founded in 1933 by Jakob Wilhelm Hauer, was an attempt to create a non-Christian, racially defined belief that aligned with Nazi ideology. Rooted in the rejection of Christianity as a foreign influence incompatible with the Germanic soul, it sought to develop a new national faith based on Aryan spirituality and Nordic heritage. It wasn't a revival of ancient paganism, but a reimagined belief system grounded in racial mysticism, blood and soil ideology, and a spiritualized form of nationalism. Initially, the movement welcomed religious free-thinkers and even Jews, but quickly narrowed to racialists and Germans who had abandoned Christianity, excluding those deemed racially or ideologically incompatible. The movement attracted thousands of followers and promoted sun worship, Norse pagan motifs, and a cultic reverence for Hitler. It replaced Christian rites with pagan equivalents and envisioned itself as the spiritual counterpart to Nazism. Although tolerated by figures like Rudolf Hess, the regime never endorsed it as a state religion. By 1936, Hauer stepped down, and the movement was absorbed into broader Nazi structures. The Black Sun Order was never an official Nazi institution, but rather a post-war myth about a secretive inner circle around Heinrich Himmler, focused on his vision of the SS as a mystical brotherhood. Members believed they were guardians of ancient Aryan secrets, spiritual heirs of pagan warrior cults, and agents of a coming new order. Their headquarters was Wewelsburg Castle, which Himmler redesigned as an initiation site. Its crypts and ceremonial chambers were apparently used for midnight rituals, blood oaths, and secret gatherings. At the center was the Black Sun symbol, a 12-spoked sun wheel etched into the floor, believed to channel a hidden force beneath the earth. Members of the order believed the Black Sun was a primordial energy source older than the visible sun. They held that this force could awaken dormant powers in those of pure Aryan blood, granting access to ancestral memory, enhanced perception, and even immortality. The Vril Society was a secret esoteric group said to have formed in post-World War I Germany, rooted in occult science, cosmic contact, and the pursuit of a hidden energy source known as Vril. The society reportedly emerged from the All-German Society for Metaphysics, allegedly founded in 1919 by Maria Orsic, a Croatian medium based in Munich, who led a circle of female psychics believed to have ties to the inner circle of the Thule Society. Maria Orsic and her followers claimed to channel messages from beings in the Aldebaran star system, describing advanced technologies to them. These transmissions included plans for anti-gravity craft and propulsion systems, supposedly leading to secret projects in the form of Reichsflugscheiben, early Nazi flying discs. Members believed Vril was a universal life force that could be harnessed for telepathy, healing, and as a limitless energy source. Their beliefs drew heavily on the ideas of Helena Blavatsky, who described Vril as a secret natural force once used by the priest kings of Atlantis. The society's activities were cloaked in secrecy, but rumors suggest it was involved in the rise of Nazism and had links to the SS and even Himmler or Hitler. Whether the Vril Society really existed remains disputed. No verified documentation confirms Maria Orsic's life or the group's operation. The Landig Group was an occult folkish circle founded in 1950 in Vienna by former SS officer Wilhelm Landig. It revived Nazi-era esotericism, focusing on Thule as the supposed polar homeland of the Aryan race. Landig coined the term Black Sun as a hidden, ancient energy source capable of healing the Aryan race. The group also believed in Vril energy, Atlantis, the world ice theory, pre-flood civilizations, and secret knowledge preserved in Tibet. They promoted theories of Nazi bases under the Arctic and Antarctica, where exiled Germans continued advanced weapons development, including flying saucers and Die Glocke. Their central myth focused on a secret polar refuge called the Blue Island as the starting point for an Aryan revival. The group studied the teachings of SS Ahnenerbe co-founder Hermann Wirth, who was obsessed with the Aryan heritage thought. Hence, their ideology viewed the Aryan race as spiritually and intellectually superior. A younger generation continued these ideas into the 1980s through groups like the Tempelhofgesellschaft and Causa Nostra, preserving the Landig Group's influence in post-war Nazi occultism. The Artgemeinschaft was a neo-Nazi and neo-pagan organization founded in 1951 in Berlin by former SS member Wilhelm Kusserow. It combined racial ideology with reconstructed Nordic paganism, mainly Aushatru, but also included elements of atheism, theosophy, and Ariosophy. The group promoted the concept of a racial community and racial belief, rejecting Christianity in favor of pagan and racially based ethics. Its worldview was shaped by philosophers like Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, or Feuerbach, emphasizing struggle as a natural law of existence. Belief in gods was considered optional. The focus was on racial and spiritual purity. Membership was restricted to those of northern descent, and the group was openly anti-Semitic and xenophobic. Its symbol, an eagle catching an ichthys, symbolized their anti-Christian stance and later became a widely used emblem among German neo-Nazis. In 1983, Artgemeinschaft absorbed the older folkish group Nordungen. From 1989 to 2009, it was led by neo-Nazi lawyer Jürgen Rieger. In September 2023, the German government banned the organization and its publications.